Well, dear ones, we will start with a story right here about Mother's Day. Now, you can substitute for the word Mother's Day, you can substitute Valentine's Day or Thanksgiving Day or Christmas or my birthday and so on. Many of you have stories that you tell yourself about these special days. These stories are laden with expectations of yourself and others. Today on Mother's Day, there is especially an expectation that my children should ... fill in the blanks. If they really loved me, then they would blank, blank, and blank, X, Y, and Z. Or if I'm a good son or a good daughter, I should do this for my mother today because it is Mother's Day. And so therein, for these sons and daughters, enters this fog of fear, obligation, and guilt. And when this fog is in the way, it clouds real love. And so if yes, the day has passed already, but remember this for future occasions, these holidays, so to speak, which are laden with commercialism and expectations. Remember, do only what you can do for another in love. Only what you can do in love, and release the rest. Let go of the fog, of the fear, obligation, and guilt, for they're not serving you well or the other. And remember that these days can be beautiful and loving and full of goodness when you flow from the heart and from good intention. Yes. And mothers on this day who are free, we would say, have no expectations whatsoever of anyone. And whatever goodness or kindness or love comes to them from their children or any other is simply icing on the cake, as you would say. An unexpected delight. Yes. And so perhaps on this day, instead, you might think to yourself about a mother who is a mother, you know, who is hurting, who is sad, perhaps has lost a child. And reach out to that one with your love. And what about the precious ones who do not want to be mothers? Are you sensitive to cultural expectations that might cause them to question their decision or feel less than on this day? And have you given them your love and compassion today? Stories, so many stories, you see. And also on days such as this, there are stories that your ego wants to revive, such as, well, my mother abused me and did this and that and the other to me, and my mother should have, and my mother should not have, and so on. And we're not saying that you haven't endured real trauma or real emotional pain. And we're not asking you to brush that pain under the rug or ignore it. We're only asking you to bring it out into the light of truth and love and healing, and now rewrite your story. Rewrite your story. You see, some of you mothers out there aren't getting what you want from your children in the way of love and so on. And that's because your love is conditional, you see. I will love my children if they treat me respectfully. I will love my children if they come around when they should, and so on. And this is not love at all. This is conditional. And this is a very hard thing for a mother to admit, or a father, brother, sister, daughter, to admit the truth to themselves that their love is conditional. But if you can begin there in the truth, then you can move towards real love. And so stories, whether it be Mother's Day or any day of the year, can be resurrected in the mind of things long ago having been and are no more. these stories are simply a fingerprint on your brain. They are simply a pathway, a neural network. And some of you have ridden these neural networks in your mind so much they are deep grooves in your precious brain, and you are stuck in a rut. And you know what they say about a rut? A rut is a grave with the ends kicked out. And so keep on telling that story to yourself, and you'll find yourself in a dark, deep grave of sorrow and grief. And why would you torment yourself in this way? You see, to tell your story without releasing the emotion around the story is only to cement it in further into a definition of who you are and who others are as well, an inaccurate one as well. You see, stories are full of fiction, and you've convinced yourself they are true. And the truth is, you do not know what is in another's heart or mind, or you truly do not know their intention unless you are God. Now, we will tell you a funny little illustration about stories. When this vessel's a husband, her partner, listens later to the interviews she has done and the channelings with Judah, and he hears her tell her story, he thinks, wow, that is really inaccurate. And perhaps it is. You see, he has a different perspective than she on, even though they both together have lived much of their story together in the last few years, they both have a very different perspective of the same events. And this is the way for all of you, you see. You may think someone has been unkind, but perhaps they're in deep pain and wrapped in their own issues. And so you see, it has nothing to do with you. And if you can't remember anything else we say tonight, we would say, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. And if you take it personally, forgive yourself and begin again tomorrow with not taking it personally. So you see, each one of you is the main character in your story, and you've cast various different roles to the different people in your life. If they are important enough to you, you will write them into your script. And you may write them in as a friend, a lover, a neighbor, or so on. You might cast them as a villain. And some of you are stuck in the way you see other people. And this is not serving you or them. Remove the villains from your story. And some of you have cast yourself as the victim. Now, we're not saying that there aren't some true victims in this world, but once you grow up, once you come into the realm of a teaching such as this one, you have a certain level of awareness and consciousness. If you're still being a victim, then that is on you. And we say that with all the love we have in our heart. And if you want to be who you really are and be the vast soul and fractal of God that you are in the earth, you must stop playing this victim role. You are no one's victim. You are the creator of your own reality. We know you get tired of hearing this, but we're still saying it because you don't yet believe it. Now, we impressed upon this vessel earlier today. We want you to change what you're saying rather than saying, I am creating everything in my own reality at this moment, rather than saying, I am creating. That indicates an action, a doing. Nothing wrong with that, but better to say, I am the creator. I am the creator. I am being the name of God. I am what is the I am? The I am is the creator. You are the creator of everything in your story. You are writing the story. You are the main character in the story. You are the audience for your story. And the very light of God is the light shining through the film of your story, which you have loaded into the machine of your life, and the light, the very light of God and the ascended masters is shining through that film, projecting onto the 3D reality and 4D scope of your life, who and what is happening. So let's say your film today is Mother's Day. It's the film. And the light of God shining through that film that you wrote, that you scripted, that you designated yourself as the main character, and you wrote in all the other various characters in your film called Mother's Day. And the light of the creator is shining through this film, projecting it into your 3D, 4D reality, your matrix. Now, if you don't like the story, you might want to rewrite it. And if you're not sure how, we're going to be teaching you how as you stay with us in the Judah channel. But until then, if you can only just do this, have the awareness that you did create it, even if it's something you absolutely did not want, even if it was something very painful to you, that awareness that you somehow unconsciously or consciously created it will begin to set you free to see the possibility of what you can do differently. So if there are some bad villainous characters on the stage of your life, rewrite the script for them. And if they are not willing to shift into the story that you are creating as the creator, as the writer, director, and main character, you may simply write them out. We know that sounds a little cold. It doesn't have to be cold, but it can be intentional and even loving, because perhaps they need to go on about their own story, you see. So this is where we want to draw you into imagination meditation and empower you to begin to write your own story, rather than allowing life to just, slap you here and there, up and down and all around, and dragging you around by the heels. Take the reins of your life. Take the reins and begin to write your story within the power of your meditative alpha state imagination. And so before you open your eyes on a day such as today, perhaps you will, with your eyes closed in the bed, begin to imagine your morning. Every detail. I'm going to feel fabulous today. Oh, I see my body's full of life and energy. I have everything on my schedule is something that I really, really am looking forward to. And the one or two things on my schedule that I really am not into, somehow things are just going to shift, and those things are going to be canceled or rescheduled or simply left by the wayside, as life would have it. You see, and you begin, and I'm going to have delicious food to eat that is health giving for my body, and it's going to come to me with so much ease. And you begin to imagine all the parts of your day. Just imagine up through lunchtime. How about that? And when lunchtime comes, take a minute or two, close your eyes wherever you are. You see, meditation doesn't have to be restricted to your special chair at home. You need to bring it. Advanced meditators, I'm speaking to you. Bring meditation into every segment of your day. And so when you have those natural pauses or breaks in the day, take a minute or two and imagine the next segment of your day exactly the way you want it to be. There was a young woman taking the course with us. Yes, powerful channeled course, learning about this principle, and she had a big annual review the next day. And so when she laid her head on the pillow the night before, she imagined the entire thing. She imagined every question that would be asked and how she would answer it and what she would ask for in the way of a raise and so on. And lo and behold, the next day, her annual review went exactly as she imagined it, including her raise. So Take your sad story and rewrite it, your painful story, and rewrite it. Stop giving attention to these negative stories. Become aware. Listen to the words coming out of your mouth and what you are saying about your life and about others. Don't say I'm getting chubby. Don't say I'm broke. Don't say that's not working out for me. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Reinvent yourself. You can reinvent yourself in any moment of your life. Become aware of your stories. Become as one. This is what it means to be a fifth dimensional soul. Listen carefully. Imagine again the movie theater. Imagine that you have written the story. You have written in and out the characters of your story. The light of God is shining through transparently through your story, projecting it onto to the stage of your life, the matrix, within the matrix of your life. And you are the main character. And you will say what happened in the past. You will say what will happen in the future. You will say the beginning, the middle, the end, and everything in between. Now, this is what it means to be the fifth dimensional one. You observe all those functions at once. You are like unto one sitting in the audience, watching, listening, experiencing all of it, understanding you created it all, and adjusting and shifting and changing any part of this story at any time that is incongruent with your larger, more vast, perfected soul. You are the observer in the audience. And sometimes to be a fifth dimensional, a higher dimensional soul is this. When the story is gone awry, when the story is just stuff and nonsense, and you're all caught up in it, you simply get up from your seat in the audience. You walk to the back of the theater, you exit the theater, and you shut the door. And there is no more story. Only breathing in and breathing out and being what you are. Being what you are. Being what you are. There's no story to tell, you see. You are dropping into the vast ocean of consciousness, and you are just being what you are. You see, the ego, if you recognize the ego's nature, this is why we talk about the ego so much, because we want you to be onto the ego's games. We want you to be privy to its tricks so that you can get free, because freedom is what we are about. And the ego wants your story to be an us and them story, us and them. And they're over and I'm under, or I'm over and they're under, you see, instead of a we story. The we, the one, the whole. Now we're going to tell you one last story. We've told this story before. It is a true story about a woman who was a friend of this vessel for many years. And this woman was a twin, an identical twin. And both she and her twin sister were raped repeatedly for many, many years by their father, their natural father. Now, this vessel came into a friendship with this woman in her midlife. She was a joyful, a bright, ebullient, loving woman. She had become a lawyer because her past put her story, planted within her a passion for protecting young children in the inner city. She became a lawyer. She moved back into the inner city and lived amongst these beautiful children and impacted thousands of these children with love and care and her passion and compassion. Now, the sister also experienced the same fate as we shared, and she was depressed, heavily medicated, could not hold down a job, wound up on welfare, could not sustain a loving relationship, and was consumed with bitterness for her father. What is the difference between these two very real women? The difference is the story they told themselves about their experience. You see, the friend of the vessel, when she was young and her father was engaging his atrocity, there was a picture on her wall that a family member had given her of Jesus. And during these terrible traumatic abuses, she would lock eyes with Jesus and she would feel the Lord Jesus there with her. And she literally, her little spirit would be caught away as she disassociated from her body and the trauma, and she would be held in the arms of Christ. And this is one of the things we want to say to you about your story, especially those of you who have endured terrible traumas. We want you to know that you were never, ever, ever alone. You were never, ever, ever, ever alone. And we hear, this vessel hears your questions so often. Then why? Why did this happen? I don't understand why. Tell me, where was God? Where were my angels? And these are hard questions. But we were there, my dear. We were there. And we are still here. And we are here and present in this moment to give you the courage and vision to rewrite your past and reimagine your present and your future. And so, precious ones that are single now, that are divorced, quit saying, I'm divorced, with a look of angst upon your face. Forget the word altogether and say, I'm single and looking forward to my future. I'm single and so content and happy. Or whatever it is you feel compelled to say that's true for you. You see, some of you are so attached to the stories of your pain that you don't know who you are without them. Attached to your illness, even has sometimes some of you have been ill for so long that you didn't mean it to happen, but it's become a part of your identity, and you don't know who you are without your illness. Time to rewrite your story. Time to break agreement with the stories that are not serving who you are. And so, coming back to Mother's Day, we want to say to every mother out there, we know that you did your very best with the hand that life dealt you. And so forgive yourself and love yourself, honor yourself. Treat yourself to the love that you so deserve. We will tell all of you, whether you be mother, son, father, daughter, brother, friend, neighbor, whatever you may be, there is no mistake that cannot be righted. No mistake whatsoever. And the path that you think has led you to the wrong thing or the wrong person or the wrong place, this is what we can do for you, my dears. Angels can make a path where there has been no path. And what is a dead end for you, we can create a super highway to high consciousness, joy, love, and peace. We can make a road in the wilderness for you. Yes, and we can even make a road out of the grave for you, the grave that you dug for yourself in your story, those mental ruts in your mind. We can pave a new road, a super highway for you.